Good evening to all. This is an audio recording for visually impaired student from the book Pradeep Physical Chemistry Volume 2 by Dr. S. C. Khetrapal. Chapter 5 The Distribution Law. Heading 5.1 Introduction Definition of the Distribution Law. It is observed that when a solid or a liquid is added to a mixture of two immiscible liquid, in both of which it is soluble, example, iodine to a mixture of carbon disulfide and water, or succinic acid to a mixture of ether and water. It distributes itself between the two liquids in such a manner that the ratio of concentration of substance in the two liquids is always constant at constant temperature. These observations were made by Bartlett and Jungfleisch in 1872. However, it was pointed out by Nernst in 1891 that the ratio of the concentration is constant only when the solute has the same molecular weight, is that the molecular state, in both the solvent. Hence, the generalization was put in a proper form by Nernst and is called Nernst distribution law. It states as follows: a solute, solid or liquid, distributes itself between the two immiscible solvents in such a way that the ratio of the concentration of the solute in the two solvents is constant at constant temperature, independent of the presence any other molecular species, provided that the solute has the same molecular state in both the solvent. Thus, if a solute X distributes itself between the two immiscible solvents A and B, then if X remains in the same molecular state in both the solvent, we will have concentration of X in solvent A divided by concentration of X in solvent B, which is equal to C1 by C2, again equal to K, a constant. The constant K is called distribution coefficient or partition coefficient. To test the validity of the law is that to verify the law experimentally, different amount of a solution of iodine may be added to a mixture of water and carbon tetrachloride or CS2 taken in different bottles. These are then shaken and allowed to stand. A known volume of each layer is pipetted out and then titrated against hypo solution to find out the concentration of iodine. Similar experiment may be performed with other solute and immiscible solvent. It is important to note that it is the ratio of concentration which matter and not the ratio of the total weight of the solute present in the two solvent. Hence, the same unit of concentration must be used for each solvent. Heading 5.2 Condition under which distribution law is valid. The distribution law is valid only if the following conditions are satisfied. The temperature must remain constant throughout the experiment. Second, the two liquid solvents should be mutually immiscible. Third, the amount of the solute added should be small, is that the solution should be dilute. It is essential because in certain cases the solute added affects the mutual solubility of the solvent. Fourth, the solute must have the same molecular state in both the solvent, is that it should not undergo association or dissociation in any of the solvent or combination with any of the solvent. Thus the law is not valid for the distribution of benzoic acid between water and benzene, because it has been observed that in benzene, benzoic acid undergo association to form dimers, is that it exists as C6H5COOH whole twice. Similarly, the law is not valid for the distribution of any electrolyte like HCl acid between water and a non-polar solvent like benzene, CS2, CCl4, etc., because the electrolyte undergo dissociation in water. Heading 5.3 Thermodynamic derivation of the distribution law. The thermodynamic derivation of the distribution law is based on the principle that if there are two phases in equilibrium, is that two immiscible solvent containing the same solute dissolve in them. The chemical potential of a substance present in them must be same in both the phases. For thermodynamics, we know that the chemical potential mu of a substance is a solution given by mu is equal to mu naught plus RT ln of A, where mu naught is the standard chemical potential and A is the activity of the substance solute in the solution. Thus, for the solute in liquid A, we have mu A is equal to mu naught A plus RT ln of A. Similarly, for the solute in liquid B, we have mu B is equal to mu naught B plus RT ln of AB. But as already stated, the liquid A and liquid B are in equilibrium. Mu A is equal to mu B. Thus, mu naught A plus RT ln of A is equal to mu naught B plus RT ln of AB, or RT ln of A minus RT ln of AB is equal to mu naught B minus mu naught A. The chemical potential is defined as the partial molar free energy is that the change in free energy per mole, change of composition of that component in the solution, keeping the composition of all other component constant. The activity of a substance in the solution is its effective concentration, or ln of AA divided by ln of AB, which is equal to mu naught B minus mu naught A divided by RT. Further, at a constant temperature, mu naught A and mu naught B are constant for given substance in the particular solvent. Hence, all constant temperature we have from equation 4. ln of A divided by AB, which is equal to constant, equation 5, and therefore AA divided by AB is equal to constant, equation 6. This is the exact expression for the distribution law. However, if the solution are dilute, the activities are equal to the concentration, so that the expression 6 is modified to Ca divided by Cb, which is equal to constant, which is the original form of the distribution law. Heading 5.4, Change in the molecular state and distribution law. As mentioned earlier, Nernst was the first person to point out that the distribution law is the form C1 by C2 is equal to constant, is applicable only if the solute remains in the same molecular state in both the solvent, is that it does not undergo association or dissociation in any of the solvent or combination with any of the solvent. If, however, such changes take place in any of the solvent, then the law cannot be applied to the total concentration of the two phases, total concentration of the solute in two phases, but only to the concentration of the identical molecular species in the two phases. In each of these cases, the distribution law equation is modified as discussed below for a few simple cases. First, case 1, when the solute undergo association in one of the solvent. Suppose the solute X remains in the normal molecular state in the phase 1, but N molecules of it associate to form complex molecule Xn in phase 2. Then the following two equilibrium will exist simultaneously, as shown in the figure 5.2. First, X is in equilibrium with X, phase 1, and X is in equilibrium with Xn in the same phase 2. Suppose the total concentration of the solute X in phase 1 is equal to C1, and the total concentration of the solute X in phase 2, which is equal to C2. Also, suppose alpha is the degree of association of the solute in phase 2, then concentration of the associated molecule in phase 2 is that Xn is equal to 1 by n C2 alpha. and concentration of the unassociated normal molecule in phase 2 is equal to 1 minus alpha C2. Applying the distribution law to equilibrium 1, we get concentration of solute X in phase 1 divided by concentration of normal molecule of X in phase 2 is equal to constant. Is that C1 by 1 minus alpha into C2 is equal to constant. This is equation first. Again, applying the law of chemical equilibrium to equilibrium 2, we get concentration of associated molecule in phase 2 divided by concentration of normal molecule in phase 2 raised to power n, which is equal to constant. That is 1 by n C2 alpha divided by 1 minus alpha into C2 raised to power n, which is equal to constant. That is equation 2. Or C2 alpha divided by 1 minus alpha C2 raised to power n is equal to constant. Therefore, n is constant. Taking the nth root, we get n under the root C2 alpha divided by 1 minus alpha C2 is equal to constant. Dividing equation 1 by equation 2, we get C1 by n under the root C2 alpha is equal to constant. That is the exact formula. When the molecule in the phase 2 are almost completely associated, alpha is equal to 1, and therefore C1 by n under the root C2 is equal to constant. Is that approx formula? Alternatively, the same result may be obtained in a simple manner as follows. Suppose concentration of the solute X in phase 1 is equal to C1. Concentration of the associated molecule in phase 2 is equal to C2, and concentration of the simple molecule in phase 2 is equal to C3. Applying the distribution law to chemical equilibrium 1, we get C1 by C3 is equal to constant. Again, applying the law of chemical equilibrium to equilibrium 2, we get C2 by C3, concentration of C3 raised to power n, which is equal to constant. Taking the nth root of both the sides, we get n under the root C2 divided by C3 is equal to constant. That is equation 4. Dividing equation 3 and equation 4, we get C1 by n under the root C2 is equal to constant, which is the same as derived above. Thus, in such cases, when the solute undergo association in one of the solvent, the constant value of the partition coefficient is obtained not for the ratio C1 by C2, but for the ratio C1 by n under the root C2. This relationship has been confirmed by studying the distribution of benzoic acid between water and benzene. The acid existing mainly as associated molecule C6H5 COOH twice in benzene solution. The following results were obtained. This table 5.3 distribution of benzoic acid between water and benzene. Thus, whereas the ratio C1 by C2 shows great variation, the ratio C1 by C2, C1 by under the root C2 is nearly constant. The formula C1 by n under the root C2 is equal to K is commonly used for finding the value of n. Is that the extent of complexity of the solute molecule in one of the solvent. This is done by finding out the concentration C1 and C2 of the solute in the two solvent in a number of experiments. The value of n is then calculated as explained later in section 11.5.2. Case 2. When the solute undergo dissociation in one of the solvent. As before, suppose the solute X dissolve in the phase 1 without any change in the molecular state, but undergo dissociation into xy, z, yz, etc. in the phase 2. Then as shown in figure 5.4, the following two equilibria will be set up. First is x is equilibrium with x, phase 1 and phase 2. X is in equilibrium with y plus z in the same phase 2. Suppose total concentration of solute x in phase 1 is equal to C1 and total concentration of solute x in phase 2 is equal to C2. Also, suppose the degree of dissociation of the solute in the phase 2 is alpha. Then concentration of undissociated simple molecule in phase 2 is equal to 1 minus alpha into C2. Applying the distribution law to equilibrium 1, we get C1 by 1 minus alpha into C2 is equal to K, constant called partition coefficient. Note, it is obvious that if the solute undergo dissociation in phase 1 with the degree of dissociation is equal to alpha but remains normal in phase 2, then the formula obtained will be C1 1 minus alpha divided by C2 is equal to K. Similarly, if the solute undergo dissociation in both the phases with degree dissociation alpha in each case, then the formula will be C1 1 minus alpha divided by C2 1 minus alpha is equal to K. From the above expression, the degree of dissociation alpha can be calculated. Case 3rd. When the solute undergo combination with one of the solvent. Suppose the solute X remains in the normal molecular state in phase 1, but one molecule of it combined with n molecules of the solvent S to form the complex molecule X into NS in phase 2. Then as shown in figure 5.5, the following two equilibria will be established. First, X is in equilibrium with X, phase 1, phase 2. Second, X plus NS is also equilibrium with X dot NS in the same phase 2. Suppose concentration of solute X normal molecule in phase 1 is equal to C1. Concentration of normal molecule in phase 2 is equal to C2. Concentration of solvent molecule in phase 2 is equal to CS. And concentration of compound molecule in phase 2 is equal to Cc. Applying the distribution law to equilibrium 1, we get C1 by C2 is equal to K, the distribution coefficient. Equation 5. Again applying the law of chemical equilibrium to equilibrium 2, we get Cc divided by C2 into Cs raised to power n is equal to K1, equilibrium constant. Equation 6. Since the solvent in phase 2 is present in X, its concentration Cs remains almost constant in spite of combination with the solute X. Particularly if the solute is added in small quantities is that the solution is dilute, then Cs raised to power n is constant, and so the equation 6 become Cc divided by C2 is equal to C1 into Cs raised to power n, which is equal to K2, another constant. Adding 1 to both the side, we get 1 plus Cc divided by C2 is equal to 1 plus K2, or C2 plus Cc divided by C2 is equal to 1 plus K2. Equation 7. Dividing equation 5 by equation 7, we get C1 by C2 multiply with C2 by C2 plus Cc, which is equal to K by 1 plus K2, or C1 divided by C2 plus Cc is equal to K by 1 plus K2 is equal to K3, another constant. but C2 plus Cc is the total concentration of the normal as well as the solvated molecule of the solute X in phase 2. Thus the above equation in fact implies that total concentration of solute X in phase 1 divided by total concentration of solute X in phase 2 is equal to constant. Hence we conclude that when the solute enter into chemical combination with one of the solvent, there is no modification of the distribution law equation. Expect that the numerical value of the partition constant is change. Heading 5.5 Application of Distribution Law. The distribution law has been applied to the study of problems of both theoretical and practical interest, a few of which are briefly discussed below. Heading 5.5.1 In calculating the solubility of a solute in a solvent. When the two immiscible solvents are in contact with each other and the solute is added in such a large excess, then standard solution are formed. Then the concentration of the solution at this stage will be equal to their solubilities. Assuming that the distribution law is applicable for such concentration, we will have to their solubilities. Assuming that the distribution law is applicable for such concentration, we will have C1 by C2 is equal to S1 by S2 is equal to K, where concentration C1 is equal to S1 is the solubility of solute in solvent 1 and concentration C2 is equal to S2 is the solubility of the solute in solvent 2. Thus knowing the distribution coefficient K and the solubility of the solute in one of the solvent, that in the other can be calculated. Heading 5.5.2 In studying the extent of association or dissociation of the solute in a solvent, we have already seen that when a solute undergo association in one of the solvent, Nx is in equilibrium with Xn, in which its total concentration is C2 and has a normal molecular state in the second solvent in which its concentration is C1. Then distribution law formula is modified to C1 by N under the root C2 is equal to K, the distribution coefficient. From this formula, the value of N can be calculated either by hit and trial method or by logarithmic method as explained below. First is hit and trial method. The values of C1 and C2 obtained in different experiments are put in the equation C1 by N under the root C2 is equal to K. Then putting N is equal to 2, 3, 4, etc. one by one, the value of K are calculated in each case. The number which gives constant value for K is the correct value for N. Second is the logarithmic method. The formula for finding N is C1 by N under the root C2 is equal to K, or C1 by C2 1 by N is equal to K. C1 is equal to C2 की power 1 by N into K. Taking logarithm of both this side, we get log of C1 is equal to 1 by N log of C2 plus log of K. For two sets of value C1, C2 and C1 dash and C2 dash, we have log of C1 is equal to 1 by N log of C2 plus log of K. It is equation 1. And log of C1 dash is equal to 1 by N log of C2 dash plus log K, that is equation 2. Subtracting equation 2 from equation 1, we get log of C1 minus log of C1 dash, which is equal to 1 by N into log of C2 minus log of C2 dash, or N is equal to log of C2 minus log of C2 dash divided by log of C1 minus log of C1 dash. Hence, n can be calculated. Similarly, when a solute undergo dissociation in one of the solvent, X is in equilibrium with Y plus Z, in which its total concentration is C2 and has the same normal molecular state in the second solvent, in which its concentration is C1. Then we have C1 by C2 into 1 minus alpha is equal to K, the distribution coefficient. From this formula, the degree of dissociation alpha can be easily calculated. Heading 5.5.3 in predicting distribution indicators. It has been seen that iodine distributes itself between CS2 and water with a distribution coefficient equal to 400 towards CS2. Thus, if a weak solution of iodine is to be estimated, then a few drops of CS2 or CCl4 may be added to this solution. As a result, a considerable amount of I2 will pass into CS2 layer and give it a deep violet color. Now, the solution may be titrated against hyposolution till the violet color in CS2 layer disappears. Thus, iodine acts as a distribution indicator in this case. Heading 5.5.4 in the study of chemical equilibria leading to the formation of complex ion is that Ki plus I2 is in equilibrium with Ki3, or I negative plus I2 is in equilibrium with I3 negative. Kbr plus Br2 is in equilibrium with Kbr3, or Br negative plus Br2 equilibrium Br3 negative. CuSO4 plus 4 moles of NH3 is equilibrium with Cu NH3 whole 4 SO4, or Cu2 positive plus 4 NH3 equilibrium Cu NH3 whole 4 2 positive. Distribution law helps us to determine the equilibrium constant for any of the above equilibrium reactions, and hence to establish the formula of complex ion on the basis of the constancy in the value of the equilibrium constant. As an example, let us consider the first equilibrium reaction. The study of this equilibrium involves the following steps. First is a solution of iodine in CS2 is shaken with water to find out the distribution coefficient of iodine between water and CS2. Second, a solution of iodine in CS2 of non-concentration is shaken with Ki solution also of non-concentration. Third, after the distribution of iodine is complete between the two layers, the concentration of iodine left in the CS2 layer is determined by titration against standard hyposolution. The result is then calculated as follows. Suppose that initial concentration of iodine in CS2 is A moles per liter. Initial concentration of Ki solution is equal to B moles per liter. Concentration of I2 left in CS2 layer after distribution is C moles per liter. Distribution coefficient of I2 between water and CS2 is K. As iodine react with Ki, the total concentration of iodine free plus combined in the aqueous layer is much higher than if no Ki were present. Obviously, total concentration of I2 free plus combined in aqueous layer is equal to initial concentration of I2 in CS2 minus concentration of I2 left in CS2 layer is equal to A minus C moles per liter. The total concentration of I2 in aqueous layer can also be found directly by titrating the aqueous layer with the standard hypo solution. Concentration of free I2 in aqueous layer can be calculated by applying distribution law, is that concentration of free I2 in aqueous layer divided by concentration of I2 in CS2 layer is equal to K is that distribution coefficient. But concentration of I2 in CS2 layer is equal to C moles per liter. Concentration of free I2 in aqueous layer is equal to Kc moles per liter, and amount of I2 that has combined with Ki is equal to A minus C minus Kc moles per liter is equal to D moles per liter C. Now, according to the equation Ki plus I2 equilibrium Ki3, number of moles of I2 combined is equal to number of moles of Ki combined is equal to number of moles Ki3 formed. Concentration of Ki3 in the aqueous layer is equal to D moles per liter. Concentration of Ki in the aqueous layer is equal to B minus D moles per liter. Concentration of I2 in the aqueous layer is equal to Kc moles per liter. Substituting this value in the equation law expression, equilibrium law expression, with K dash is equal to Ki3, concentration of Ki3 divided by concentration of Ki into concentration of I2. The equilibrium constant K dash can be calculated starting with different initial concentration of iodine and Ki solution. The value of K dash is determined in each case. A fair constancy in the value of K dash confirms the formula of the complex Ki3 or that of the complex ion I3 negative. Heading 5.5.5 in the process of extraction. The process of extraction is of great importance both in the laboratory and industry. In the laboratory, the process is often used for the removal of dissolved substance from an aqueous solution with the help of organic solvent like ether, chloroform, carbon tetrachloride or benzene. In the industry, the process is used to remove the impurity from the product. Basically, the process involves shaking of the aqueous solution of the substance with an organic solvent which is immiscible with water but in which the substance to be extracted is soluble. After shaking, the mixture is allowed to stand. Most of the substance passes into the organic layer from which the former can be separated out by distilling of the organic solvent. However, in order that the process of extraction may be more effective and efficient, the following two conditions must be fulfilled. First is the volume of the distribution coefficient. The value of the distribution coefficient of the substance between water in which the substance is already present, and the extracting solvent should be greater in favor of the extracting solvent. It is sometimes possible to increase the distribution coefficient artificially by making the substance less soluble in the aqueous phase. This can be done by adding some substance which disperses the electrolytic dissociation of the compound being extracted. Suppose that an organic acid which ionizes to a certain extent in aqueous solution is to be extracted with ether. If a strong inorganic acid, HCl etc., is added to the solution, the hydrogen ion concentration is increased and the ionization of organic acid is reduced because of common ion effect. In the solution, there will be greater amount of the undissociated acid and hence the amount extracted will be greater. Similarly, an organic base which can be best extracted in the presence of a strong inorganic base. The addition of salt also usually lower the solubility of an organic compound in water, salting out effect, and thus increase the distribution coefficient. Second, the value of the extracting solvent available should not be used in one lot. It should be used in maximum number of installments. that this factor increases the efficiency of extraction can be seen as follows. Suppose x gram of the substance are present in 1 liter of the aqueous solution. Also suppose 1 liter of ether is available as an extracting solvent and that the distribution coefficient of the substance between ether and water is 2. Now if whole of the ether is used in 1 lot and x gram be the amount of the substance extracted into ether, then we will have concentration in ether divided by concentration in water is equal to x by 1000 divided by capital X minus small x into divide by 1000 which is equal to 2, or x is equal to 2 by 3 into capital X which is equal to 0.67 into capital X. Thus only 67% of the total amount will be extracted in this case. Suppose the whole of the ether is used in 2 installments, each of 500 centimeter cube. After checking with first installment of 500 cc, suppose x1 gram of the substance passes into the ether layer, then clearly x1 by 500 divided by capital X minus x1 divided by 1000 is equal to 2, or x1 is equal to 1 by 2 into capital X which is equal to 0.5 into capital X. Thus 50% of solution, 50% of the total amount is extracted out in this operation. Therefore, the amount of the substance left unextracted which is equal to capital X minus 1 by 2 into capital X which is again equal to 1 by 2 capital X. Now 1 liter of aqueous solution containing 1 by 2 capital X gram of the substance is shaken with the remaining 500 cc of ether. Suppose the amount extracted into ether by this operation is x2 gram, then x2 by 500 divided by x by 2 minus x2 by 1000 is equal to 2, or x2 is equal to 1 by 4 into capital X which is equal to 0.25x. Is that 25% of total substance passes into the ether layer in this operation. Therefore, total amount of the substance extracted is equal to 50 plus 25 is equal to 75%. Thus, when 1 liter of ether is used in 2 equal installments, the percentage extraction increases from 66.7 to 75. Similarly, it can be seen that 1 liter of ether is used in 4 equal installments, the extraction increases further to 93.75%. A general formula can be derived which gives the amount of the substance left unextracted after a definite number of operations. Suppose W gram of the substance is present in V ml of the solution made in solvent A. Also suppose that small v ml of the extracting solvent B is used each time and K is the distribution coefficient of the substance between the solvent A and B. Now if W1 gram be the amount of substance left unextracted in solvent A after the first operation, then concentration in A divided by concentration in B is equal to K, is that W1 by V is equal to capital W minus W1 divided by V is equal to K, or K into W minus W1 divided by V is equal to W1 by V, or KV into W minus W1 is equal to W1 V, or W1 V plus KV is equal to KV W, or W1 is equal to KV divided by V plus KV into W. That is the equation 1. Again, after the second operation, if W2 gram be the amount of the substance left unextracted in solvent A, so that the amount extracted is W1 minus W2 gram. Then W2 divided by V, which divide by W1 minus W2 divided by V is equal to K, or W2V is equal to W1 minus W2 into KV, or W2 is equal to KV divided by V plus KV into W1. That is equation 2. Putting the value of W1 from equation 1, we get W2 is equal to KV divided by V plus KV, and is multiply with KV divided by V plus KV into W, which is equal to KV divided by V plus KV का whole square into W. In general, after nth operation, the amount of the substance left unreacted will be Wn is equal to KV divided by V plus KV whole raised to power n into W. In order that the extraction may be most efficient, clearly Wn should be smallest possible. That this can be only if the factor Kv divided by V plus Kv whole raised to power n is as small as possible. Now in this factor, the denominator V plus Kv is greater than the numerator Kv, then Kv by V plus Kv is less than 1. Hence above factor will be smallest possible when n is the largest possible. So it follows that the multi-step extraction is more economical than the single step extraction. Further, from the above equation, it may be seen that Wn can never be equal to 0. Howsoever, large n may be. In other words, extraction can never be complete. Howsoever, large number of extraction may be carried out. Otherwise also, it is clear that every time the substance left distributes itself between the two solvents, some quantity, howsoever small, must be left unreacted. Not. If the purpose of numerical problem, it must be remember that K is the distribution coefficient of the substance between the solvent A already present and the extracting solvent B. If K is given for the distribution of the substance between solvent B and A, the reciprocal of this value should be used in the above equation. The principle of multi-step extraction hold good for washing the precipitates, whereby the impurities distribute between the liquid and the precipitate. Further, in Parkes process for desilverization of lead, use is made of the principle of extraction. Silver is more soluble in zinc than in lead. Zinc is immiscible with molten lead, thus when zinc is added to argentifier's lead, a large quantity of silver goes into the molten zinc layer, leaving little silver in the molten layer. Because the distribution coefficient of silver between zinc and lead is 300 at 880 degree Celsius. Zinc containing W gram silver forms the upper layer. Thus by repeating the process, almost total quantity of silver can be extracted from argentifier lead. Heading 5.5.6 in the determination of degree of hydrolysis. Let us first study some terms and expression related to salt hydrolysis. Hydrolysis constant. The general equation for the hydrolysis of a salt Ba may be written as Ba plus H2O equilibrium Ha plus BOH. Applying the law of chemical equilibrium, we get concentration of product divided by concentration of reactant, which is equal to equilibrium constant. Hence, concentration of Ha into concentration of BOH divided by concentration of Ba into concentration of H2O is equal to K, the equilibrium constant. Since water is present in very large excess in the aqueous solution, its concentration H2O may be regarded as constant, so that we have concentration of HA into concentration of BOH divided by concentration of BA is equal to K into concentration of H2O, which is equal to KH. KH is called the hydrolysis constant. Since concentration of HA and BOH represent the molar concentration of the free acid and the free base produced, and concentration of BA represent the molar concentration of the unhydrolyzed salt, the above expression for the hydrolysis constant may be written in a more general way as KH is equal to concentration of free acid into concentration of free base divided by concentration of unhydrolyzed salt. Degree of hydrolysis. The degree of hydrolysis of a salt is defined as a fraction or percentage of the total salt which is hydrolyzed. For example, if in a solution of aniline hydrochloride 90% of the salt is hydrolyzed into aniline and hydrochloric acid, the degree of hydrolysis is 0.90 or may be expressed as percentage with 90%. It is usually represented by the symbol H. That is, H is equal to number of moles of the salt hydrolyzed divided by total number of moles of the salt taken. Expression for the degree of hydrolysis for solution of different type of salt, as salts of strong acid and bases do not undergo hydrolysis. Therefore, to talk of KH or H of such salt is meaningless. The cases of the other three type salts are described below. First is salts of weak acids and strong base, representing salt by Ba as usual. The hydrolysis may be represented as follows: Ba plus H2O equilibrium with BOH plus HA, where BOH is strong and HA is weak, or B positive plus A negative plus H2O is equilibrium with B positive plus OH negative plus HA, or A negative plus H2O equilibrium OH negative plus HA. That is, it is a case of anion hydrolysis. Suppose the original concentration of the salt in the solution is C moles per liter and H is its degree of hydrolysis at this concentration. Then we have A negative plus H2O equilibrium OH negative plus HA. Original concentration at equilibrium C and OH negative and HA concentration 0 and 0. Molar concentration at equilibrium C into 1 minus H, or OH negative and HA concentration are CH. The hydrolysis constant KH will therefore be given by KH is equal to concentration of OH negative into concentration of HA divided by concentration of A negative, which is equal to CH into CH divided by C into 1 minus H, which is equal to CH square divided by 1 minus H. If H is very small as compared to 1, we can take 1 minus H similar to 1, so that the above expression becomes CH square is equal to KH, or H square is equal to KH by C, or H is equal to under the root KH by C. That is equation first, is that H is directly proportional to under the root of 1 by C. Thus, the degree of hydrolysis of a salt of a weak acid and a strong base is inversely proportional to the square root of its molar concentration. Second case, salts of strong acids and weak bases. For such a salt Ba, the hydrolysis may be represented as Ba salt plus H2O, which equilibrium BOH weak plus HA strong, or B positive A negative plus H2O is in equilibrium with BOH plus H positive A negative, or B positive plus H2O equilibrium BOH plus H positive, is that it is a case of cation hydrolysis. Proceeding as in the earlier case, we get the same relationship. H is equal to under the root KH by C, that is equation 2. Third case, salts of weak acid and weak bases. Representing the salt by Ba, as before we have Ba salt plus H2O equilibrium BOH weak plus HA weak, or B positive A negative plus H2O is in equilibrium with BOH plus HA, is that it involves both anion hydrolysis as well as cation hydrolysis. In this case, we have B positive plus A negative plus H2O equilibrium BOH plus HA. Original concentration of V plus is C, and A negative, the original concentration is C, and the original concentration of BOH and HA is 0. Concentration of at equilibrium, the B positive concentration C into 1 minus H, and A negative concentration is C into 1 minus H, and the concentration at equilibrium of BOH is CH, and the concentration at equilibrium of HA is CH. KH is equal to concentration of BOH into concentration of HA divided by concentration of B positive into concentration of A negative, which is equal to CH into CH divided by C into 1 minus H into dot C into 1 minus H is equal to H square divided by 1 minus H whole square. Hence the relationship between KH and H does not involve C. Hence the degree of hydrolysis of such a salt is independent of the concentration of the solution. If H is very small in comparison to 1, we can take 1 minus H is equal to 1. So that equation become KH is equal to H square, and H is equal to under the root of KH, that is equation 4. Determination of degree of hydrolysis by the application of distribution law. Suppose it is required to determine the degree of hydrolysis of aniline hydrochloride C6H5NH2 dot HCl or C6H5NH3 positive Cl negative, which is a salt of a weak base aniline and a strong acid HCl acid. The method consists of 2 steps as follows. First is determination of the hydrolysis constant. Aniline hydrochloride is hydrolyzed as C6H5NH3Cl plus H2O is equilibrium with C6H5NH3 positive OH negative plus HCl. C6H5NH3 positive OH negative give rise to C6H5NH2 plus H2O. The hydrolysis constant will therefore be given by KH is equal to concentration of free aniline into concentration of free HCl acid divided by concentration of unhydrolyzed salt. Thus, to get the value of KH, the aim is to find the molar concentration of free aniline, free HCl acid and unhydrolyzed salt in an aqueous solution of aniline hydrochloride. This is done by shaking aqueous solution of aniline hydrochloride of known concentration with benzene. As a result, the free aniline distributes itself between the two solvent is that water and benzene, whereas HCl acid and the unhydrolyzed salt remains in the aqueous layer only as shown in figure 5.7. A calculation of concentration of free aniline in the aqueous layer. For this purpose, the concentration of aniline present in the benzene layer is found by taking a known volume of this layer, evaporating off this benzene and finding weight of aniline left. Having known the concentration of aniline in the benzene layer, that is the aqueous layer, can be calculated if the distribution coefficient of aniline between water and benzene is known, which can be found by a separate experiment. B. Calculation of concentration of free HCl produced. For the hydrolysis equation, number of moles of HCl produced is equal to total number of moles of aniline produced. But total amount of aniline produced is equal to amount of aniline present in the benzene layer plus amount of aniline present in the aqueous layer. Each of these amount has already been calculated in step A above. Hence the total concentration of moles of aniline produced and hence the free HCl produced can be calculated. Knowing the volume of the aqueous layer, the concentration of free HCl in the aqueous layer can be calculated. C. Calculation of the concentration of the unhydrolyzed salt. From the hydrolysis equation, it is clear that the number of moles of the salt hydrolyzed is equal to total number of moles of the aniline produced or free HCl produced, which has already been calculated in step B above. Hence, knowing the initial number of moles of the salt taken, the number of moles of the salt being left unhydrolyzed can be calculated. Further, knowing the volume of the aqueous layer, the concentration of the unhydrolyzed salt can be calculated. Alternatively, the aniline present in the benzene layer may be determined by passing HCl gas through it so that aniline is precipitated as aniline hydrochloride. Second is calculation of the degree of hydrolysis. Knowing the hydrolysis constant Kh, the degree of hydrolysis of a solution of aniline hydrochloride having concentration C moles per liter can be calculated directly from the expression H is equal to under the root Kh by C derived earlier. Thank you.